Okay, when first starting Solibri, there's a welcome screen that appears, and this provides easy access to commonly open models and rule sets. If you'd like, you can choose a model in a rule set or just a model here from this welcome screen and hit the start button. Or of course we could have just hit start and then choose the file that we're intending to load from, either file and open or just clicking this click to open model option. When this model eventually is finished loading here, so as this IFC file completes, it's going to ask me what discipline this model is, and that's important to have that mapping correctly defined, so that when we do our checking, it'll know which models we're discussing or which models we're talking about. So in this case, we have our SMC building loaded. The discipline chosen is architecture, and we're just going to hit OK. Okay, you'll notice that when the model loads, it's actually going to be on the model tab here, this model view. So on this view, we actually have three distinct windows that appear. We have this 3D view, of course, that shows us the model that's loaded and allows us to navigate through that model. We also have a model tree, so this is going to show us the file, building, and then levels and components of those levels. So as we go through this model and explore, we can look at these components. And additionally, we have an info view, so as we click on objects or need information about these objects, such as this window, we can click on those objects in the 3D view and then see the information that's related in this info tab. So we've looked a little at the model tree here. We're going to switch over to the checking layout, and in this view we're actually going to have different options. So instead of the model tree, we're going to have the checking tree here, where we can actually load a rule or rule set to check the model against, and we'll also be able to see our results and sort through our results in this checking layout. So again, we would run a check and then have a issue list here of results, and we can sort of manage those from this window. Then we'll switch over to presentation. So we have a presentation layout, and this is of course where we can either bring in the issues that we found in the checking tab and create a presentation out of those issues, or we can just hit the click to add new presentation option and create our own user-defined presentation from this tab. Okay, in addition to these views or these windows that we have, model tree and info and 3D, there are additional views that are available. So we can go to window and add view, and of course there's going to be assortment that we'll cover in later sessions, but in this case I'm just going to load one example, which is the filtering tool. And this is really just to obviously do searches through the model, so we can search for components by their property or their some value. But this is just an example, so we can take this filtering tool and we can really just drag this around, and if we have a second monitor, obviously dock this onto that monitor. But if we want to just dock it, we can click this docking option, and then from there we can drag this view around, so we can take that filtering view and sandwich it between the model tree and the info view if we want. And again, that's just really easy to just sort of drag around, just grab it by the name, and then move it to where you think it belongs. Okay, and the last thing we want to look at is some of these toolbars. So I'm going to move filtering back over to this side here, and I'm going to look at these drop downs. So we have navigation tools. We can click on this drop down here, and we'll see that we have a pan option and a spin and a walk and a game mode. As you mouse over any of these tools, you're going to get a pop-up giving you some details of the functionality. So as we're in spin mode, for instance, we can see that in order to pan, we'll hold the mouse middle button down. So if I hold the mouse middle button down, then I can pan instead of spin. And then of course hold the left mouse button down to have my spin mode. Additionally, there are some other tools. We can hide objects and set transparencies and do sections, create sections of the building. And again, as a hint, we'll have that pop up, so anytime we need some information on how to use that tool, we have these pop-ups appearing that tell us exactly what to do. We also have a drop down for hiding elements that are commonly in the way. So for instance, if we wanted to just hide all the walls, we can click this show hide wall option, and all the walls will be hidden from view, as well as a show hide spaces. We can see all the spaces appear. And then we can just turn the walls back on by hitting that same icon. Okay, I'm going to turn these spaces back off, so I'll come back up and click the hide space option. Those will disappear. We have zoom in and zoom out options as well here, and also some drop downs to view some commonly viewed viewpoints. So as you navigate through this model, if we're, for instance, in some precarious view and we don't know exactly where we're at in the model anymore, we can always just refer to these default views. So we can always click on this top front left option, for instance, and that'll take us out to a top front left view of this model. And the last thing we're going to deal with is the model tree and how to enable or visualize some of these components. So for instance, if I'm looking at this this model tree, this SMC building, I can click on the first floor layer, and if I want to only view the elements on the first floor, I can just click the equal sign in this up in the top corner here of this model tree window, and now I'm just viewing the first floor of the SMC building. And of course I can change to a different perspective. I can look at a top-down view, for instance, and rotate that view as I need to. Anytime I want to turn everything back on, you can just click on the Show All icon up here in the top right. I click on Show All, everything else is enabled again. And again, anytime I want to refer to any elements in this model tree, I can click on, for instance, the columns in the first floor, hit the equal sign, I'm just viewing columns, and if I want to add to that, I can click on something like a wall and hit the plus sign and just add the walls to that view. Now, of course, I can add something to that, so I'll choose the second floor addition and add that. And with that, that concludes our tutorial, so I'm just going to turn everything back on, and thanks for listening.